Right, moving on to the next one. Okay, so before we move on to the next one, so let me ask you all a small logical question so that we can, just for fun, right? So I want to know, like, how many sides a circle has? It's a logical question. How many sides a circle has? Infinite. Okay, anybody else? A different answer. Come on. Two sides? Who is that? You said? Okay, what are these sides? Yeah, that's the right answer. Can we all give it a huge round of applause? Yeah, that's the right answer. All right, thank you so much. Moving on to the next one. Our next session looks at the enormous potential of artificial intelligence and machine learning for transforming women's health. Uh, Okay, before moving on to the next one, so if anybody else here want to have a tea or a coffee, please feel free. Go outside and you all can get your tea cups. You all can get it inside. Yeah. Next one, I want everyone standing outside to please get inside and settle down. I'm starting the next session now. Right. So our next session looks at the enormous potential of artificial intelligence and machine learning for transforming women's health. I want everyone to please settle down. So we're starting the next one. Our panelists are doing pioneering work in this field. And now I would like to invite on the stage Mr. Sanjeev Malhotra, CEO NASSCOM Center of Excellence for IoT and AI in India. Sanjeev is currently building the innovation ecosystem with startups and corporates, government and academia focusing on emerging technologies like IoT, artificial intelligence, robotics. Can we all give him a huge round of applause and welcome him on the stage, everyone? Next, I would like to invite Dr. Rimjim Agarwal, co-founder and CTO, BrainSight AI, as the co-founder and chief technology officer of a dynamic neurotech startup. Dr. Rimjim Agarwal leads a team in the development of groundbreaking solutions that revolutionize brain mapping technology. A huge round of applause for Dr. Rimjim Agarwal. And we have the panel moderator, that is Mr. Sameer Dhanranjani, CEO AIQRATE and 3AI. Sameer is a globally recognized AI advisor, business builder, thought leader, and influencer known for his deep knowledge in AI and analytics space. Can we all give a huge round of applause for Mr. Sameer Dhanranjani?
Just realize, afternoon everyone, that we are standing between the lunch and this discussion. No? Okay. So can we go on for the next 90 minutes? By the way, how many of you noticed a pattern which is almost, I would say, only equivalent to a human brain? As the names were being called out, for all the panel members, they were sitting according to the sequence how the names are displayed out here. And this is somewhere the machines cannot do. This is what we call the human intuition. Let me start this particular discussion by saying one, this panel looks a bit incomplete, but that's not the case. Having just two panel members itself should not give an indication that the panel is incomplete. I had a sidebar conversation with both of them. In fact, I have a privilege and I would say pleasure of knowing Sanjeev for quite some time, and Rimjim I just spent some time. Two aspects which makes this panel absolutely very holistic. One, Sanjeev carries a complete understanding, a very comprehensive understanding of the ecosystem of what healthcare and the health tech industry is all about. And Rimjim comes from the side through her startup, which you cannot ignore, is the brain. And she'll talk about what she do as a part of how the brain and the AI comes together. So, three things what we want to accomplish through this panel, and this is where I'll urge the panel members to focus, and then of course we'll have the Q&A. One, we'll talk about the healthcare segment overall as such, what's happening in this entire segment. Second facet which we will touch upon is this whole leverageability of AI ML in the healthcare space. There's a lot which is happening, but the fact is that particular lot is actually still below the radar. Through these two panel members, we will try to unearth some of those insights. Third, very interesting, from a women's health perspective, how AI is coming as a rescue. Today, let me start this panel with a very provocative statement and something which should awaken this group. Human beings are predictably irrational. And I say that because the decisions what we are taking, by the way, as a human being, we take about 60 odd decisions on any given day, strategic, tactical, operational. The fact over there is that until now, all these decisions, a chunk of that, have been taken by gut, hearsay, heuristic. A lot of things have happened in the past, that's why we're taking a decision. And also influenced by our friends, colleagues, and spouses. You heard that, spouses as well. Now think of this, the way algorithms are really permeating into the ecosystem, whether it's the algorithms for making you watch the movie, the algorithms which is making you shop, the algorithms which are tracking your transactions, the tendency for algorithms to self-learn and really personalize in terms of bespoke experiences is what is coming out to be very novel, and which is where the whole aspect of ChatGPT lies. And one thing I keep saying with no qualms, the biggest thing ChatGPT has done is to tickle our ego. Our ego has really taken a toss after ChatGPT. Let me start this conversation. Sanjeev, I want to elicit your views, and feel free to be provocative, Sanjeev. This is something we have promised to the audience, and let's stick to that, and then I'll come to you, Rimcham. What is that you're seeing on the healthcare side in terms of the industry? While it's been a laggard in terms of adoption of technology, but how is that you see the ecosystem coming together, please?
Sure. Thank you, Samir, because he's the acknowledged AI expert in the industry, and I had an opportunity to work in healthcare, technology in healthcare for last few years. So I can share some of the experiences based on what I have seen and where the needs are, where the difficulties are. In general, we see that technology is becoming a pretty important thing when it comes to healthcare. For us, healthcare was going to doctor and probably they're putting us through some tests and examinations, which we all are familiar with. With the advent of technology in this, what is happening is how many things you can do without having a specialist to do that, right? While we all are very privileged people sitting in Bangalore and having access to the best, we may not appreciate the technology so much as opposed to people who are, you move little away from Bangalore into smaller places, see the difficulties they face actually when they need some help. And that's where the technology really comes handy. Not that we don't find it handy. I mean, we can just see that how much we have changed, how we do things at home. I mean, we have way to measure blood pressures at home, especially when it comes to elderly. We are doing a lot of this cardiac equipment at home to measure cardiac movement. And Apple Watches have come to monitor your pulses and so on. But I'll tell you the real impact that is happening is how do we take good healthcare to remote areas. That's where the real value comes. And that's where we have seen a lot of these new tests, especially when it comes to women, some of the things that really are pertaining to women, or for anybody, I think. I would not just say about women. I mean, we'll come to that topic later. Is the remote care, where people are actually able to, the simplest thing is, of course, telemedicine, right? I mean, that has become very common. While that is not an AI thing, but that's a technology thing that is become made access to doctors very easy. Then there are devices which can actually measure a lot of your vitals sitting there. You don't even have to go to a doctor. Your lot of vitals are actually measured by an ASHA worker or any remote worker, right? And then we see some of the more specialized detection of diseases, which I think we wait till almost till the disease starts showing symptoms and then they become incurable. And those are the things which we have seen are becoming more and more popular. And that's where we see the maximum impact of technology, you know. Even I mean, so home care, and now we see home ICUs also, actually. A lot of people talk about home ICUs, and we have seen that in COVID also, right? This is all and that is a direct result of a technology, nothing else. Your vitals are being measured, doctors can see it, emergency can be detected, you know, and these things will become more advanced as we go by. Especially we put more AI element, that means less human intervention is required. They can detect emergencies, they can detect worsening conditions and so on. After a while, you know, there's a joke that says, you know, after some time, I mean, AI will be something that will always seek a second opinion. Right now, doctor is the only opinion. After some time, AI will be the second opinion, and give it some more time, AI will be the only opinion.
I think the only opinion I always regard as our spouses, actually. So let me shift the focus to you, Rimjim. And what we would like to hear, I think the group will really benefit is, first, what is your startup into? Because there's some exceedingly exemplary work what you are doing as part of Brainsight here. So would you like to talk about that, please?
Yeah, thank you. So our startup is now 4.5 years old. What we are into, you can compare it with Google Maps of the brain. Right now, what doctors have is mostly the understanding of the structures of the brain. What we present is the function of the brain. Majorly, you can think about it as traffic map of the brain. So if a person is, like I'm talking right now, some part of my brain is active and having interaction with other parts of the brain. It is interaction happening between different areas of the brain, which is very important to know to treat any diseases. I'll give you some examples. In psychiatric diseases like schizophrenia, etc., functional changes are the first which are detected and changed because of the problem in the psychiatric disorder. Whereas in the case of neurosurgery, when we give these details, it helps doctor to take a decision from where to perform the surgery, to make the surgeries more precise. You all must have heard that after surgery, people have lost speaking or they would have become paralyzed. Those are the conditions which people face after surgery because of not having much detail about function of the brain. So that is what we do in terms of brain mapping. We are doing functional and both structural mapping of the brain for the doctors so that they can take decisions for performing surgery, diagnosis and treatments. Yeah.
Great. So let me shift the conversation now to much more mainstream, which is if you take the whole gamut of healthcare, pay, provider, care side, and specifically the theme is all about the care, precision care to be clear. There's a lot of intervention what AI ML can do. And just for the audience, let me also tell, after spending a lot of time into this industry of AI ML, we often confuse the terms. Analytics, data science, AI ML, if that's not enough, we've got Gen AI. Let me tell you, essentially, it's all about data to decisions in terms of the journey or the continuum. The whole aspect, whichever technology you're using from the side of data is, can you derive insights, intelligence out of that? If that is successful, it's very, very immaterial what technology, what stack, what kind of programming tool, what you use. And this is where the applications, which is what we'll hear from the panels, is important. There's a lot which has happened in this space. And while you talk about the use cases, and Sanjeev specifically, if you would like to cite some startups which are doing some cool work in this space, feel free to do that. Can we start with you, please?
Yeah. There's a lot of good work happening when it comes to using technology or using AI in particular for detection of diseases, right? There are two things. I mean, one is detection, other is curative, right? Diagnostic and curative. So diagnostic is the easier one, less regulation. And I'll tell you a few examples. Eye care, for example, right? I mean, it's a big problem in India. A lot of people lose their livelihoods simply because they get glaucoma. And again, these are the problems which affect the moment you move away from big cities or you go to the lower section of the society. By the time it is detected, it is too late. I mean, glaucoma can render people blind. There is no cure beyond a point. But if detected in time, it can actually cure. So there are people who have made devices which are low cost. Cost is a thing. I mean, there are already devices which detect that, which are in hospitals and which you have to pay and go there. And we go there, only when we feel the need. But these are the devices. What technology has done different is, with the help of AI, without doctor's intervention, you can put a portable device. All you have to do is look into it for a few seconds, and it will tell you whether you have an onset of glaucoma or not. It's as simple as that. And these devices cost just 4 or 5 lakh, as opposed to a couple of crores that you have to spend when you buy the real heavyweight equipment in the doctor's office. And that is changing is, it is taking the care that is provided in some of the good hospitals to remote areas with a very low cost and very low expertise needed to run it. So these are the two things which are actually changing: low cost and low expertise. And that's what makes hospital what it is, because you get highly qualified doctors and high-end equipment. But if the same thing can be done with a small equipment with, let's say, 95% accuracy, it is good enough to detect most of these disorders for which these devices are getting made. So glaucoma is definitely one of them, which I can tell you, which I have seen. Then there is a detection of cancers. A lot of cancer detection thing is also becoming prevalent with the AI. But before I get to the cancer part, let me tell you diagnostics, how diagnostics is changing. What is called is reading your X-rays or reading your MRIs and so on. Right now you need a radiologist to do that, right? Your report comes and it goes to a radiologist, and they read these things, and you get these things out, a report after 1 day, 2 days, depending on the service turnaround time. Now that is changing again. Now the report comes out of these X-rays and MRIs actually are fed through the AI, and it will tell you in few seconds whether something is wrong with it or not, and if there is something wrong, where is it wrong. Now what is the difference it's making to the whole service to the, or for as a patient, what do we gain? Obviously the turnaround time becomes very quick. You can put small X-ray machines, again, go to the single person physician or single person medical clinic where doctor can actually take X-ray and immediately tell you if something is wrong or not. Not every doctor can read X-ray, it's not that easy to do it. So, but with the help of these newer techniques, you can do that. And even radiologists miss some of the things. Don't think that radiologists, when they read the report, they will tell you 100% correct. So we think that they are getting your reports are 100% correct because good radiologists seen it, but radiologist can be tired or he may not be, it may just genuinely skip his eye. Some of the details are so small, and that is changing. These things are changing, and you will see more of these things. Some of these things may be visible to us, and some of them we may not know also. It is happening behind the scenes. But these are the type of changes which are happening real time. It is not in the lab, or it is not something being tested. It is actually being done and implemented. And that's where AI is making a big difference: cost, time, and taking it to places, which are not easy to get to.
You want to talk about the cancer detection as well? Yeah.
Sure. I can talk of the cancer also. Let me talk, since we are on the subject of women health. The biggest two things which afflict, I think you know better than I can tell you, is the breast cancer and the cervical cancer. These are the two biggest things that afflict lot of women, and especially when I talk about, the suffering that people go through in the countryside is huge, because the cervical cancers get detected so late. Again, there is no cure for that by that time. And they don't have access to do annual checkups, and these things don't exist once you go beyond Bangalore. And some of the latest devices, which are again AI devices, allow some of these ASHA workers or the workers on the ground in the remote areas to do these checks for women, which are very easy to do. With the help of the image, they can actually tell there is an onset of cancer or not. And once you have that, there is a way to now get the treatment started and actually get people cured. And I will recommend all of you, since all of you are in the ecosystem where you can make a difference, I'll tell you name of the company also, called Periwinkle. It is in Pune. And if you want, I'll connect you to them, but you can do on your own also. They have made a small device, again, that costs few lakhs, but the amount of difference that makes is huge. And we deployed this device in AIMS in Punjab. Punjab has the highest incident of cervical cancer for whatever reason. And now we are seeing how we take it to remote areas. AIMS tested it and verified it. And it has already been deployed in many other places, in Safdarjung in Delhi and many other hospitals, smaller hospitals also. So I would advocate, devices like this, which are low cost and actually make a difference in the society and to women's health, and where you don't need a doctor to do an examination, and these can be done by paramedics and ASHA workers. And similarly for breast cancer, there are devices that are coming, and one of them is our homegrown Bangalore-based startup Niramai, which you have already heard. Again, Niramai is not a very cheap solution or a very low cost, but definitely a solution where it can actually tell you with a lot of accuracy, with the help of AI, whether there is an onset of breast cancer or not, or they detect breast cancer or not. And there are more solutions in the works when it comes to this. And then there are other things like on the mental health, which we'll talk later. But these are the key things. Right?
That's awesome. Remjam?
So you are basically looking for asking me about the mental health space, or?
Well, I think what we are discussing is range or the melange of solutions where
Yes.
AI is being used. And you can talk about the women specific areas as well.
Sure. So in terms of women health, I will start with the brain health first, because I have been in the brain health for around 10 years now. Majorly what people don't recognize is the functioning and the structure of brain, which women has is slightly different from male, and that's why when we are also working, we use the templates accordingly. So for example, if we are getting data set from a demographic, we divide it into male and female, and we see if there are any particular changes because of the gender. In neurosciences, it is well established that there are certain changes, like for example, schizophrenia is having higher incidence in male as compared to female, and depression might be related with many of the hormonal changes happening. The onset could be during those period of time when the changes of hormones are happening. So those things are required to be noticed and to bring in the models when we are working with machine learning models. So that is one area which should be focused more. Also at the time of menopause, PMSing and all those hormone changes are being understood right now and being studied a lot using machine learning as well. We need to have more and more awareness on those parts, and also the second part which is required to be on top of is the screening. Brain health also is something which is always neglected. Always when the problem comes to a third stage, fourth stage, that is where people are going to the doctors. So if you see right now, blood tests are happening within 6 months, or if you are taking insurance, there will be a blood test, but nobody takes a test or a screening of the brain related parameters. This is very important. Going forward, there should be more and more screening, maybe a simple imaging which can give idea to people if there are any underlying problems. with the advancement of AI, now there are things which can be used for screening, like for example, even minor changes, minor sclerosis onset, those can be detected using the imaging, and those should be there in place, which still the ecosystem is not understanding and not taking it from the very beginning of the screening, which is still under the R&D right now. So that is one area which I believe should be one of the focus. And in terms of the improvement which is happening in healthcare overall is really immense. One of the things where Gen AI is particularly more useful is drug development, simulations. A lot of treatment is being done on something which is unknown. So simulations can happen from before, which generative AI can support. For example, various type of drugs that can be simulated. The docking of the drug which happens at the site, that can be simulated. And on these areas, Gen AI is very much helpful, which is being done in many of the research development right now. So these two areas I feel is going to take more and more towards the precise and precision medicine as well, which is a good exploration which we are having.
No, I think that's fantastic. In fact, amongst, or rather between both of you, we covered a whole range of use cases, particularly how preventive healthcare is getting actually leveraged by AI. Now, for the ones who are really getting besotted and besmitten by what I call Gen AI, let me tell you what has gone into making of a Chat GPT 4 version. Because many of the conversations are revolving, hey, can we use Gen AI or can we create a Chat GPT like a feature? Now think of this, data equivalent to the Wikipedia exponentially multiplied by 30 times was first used in the Chat GPT, trained over 10,000 CPUs and 250 GPUs over a month on very ensemble techniques with unsupervised learning. That exactly, and of course, everyone is aware of the investment which went into that. And that was phenomenal. So sometimes it's easy to say, hey, we would like a Gen AI kind of a, let's say, equivalent feature. But the investment and the wherewithal to execute is phenomenal. One of the use case, besides what Rimjim and Sanjeev you gave, I want to talk about is on the healthcare in terms of the prescription of the drugs. Now in US alone, 7,000 deaths happen annually because of wrong prescription of drugs. In India, this figure is about 28,000. Any idea why? Wrong prescription of drugs. Doctors writing globally is illegible. Can't make out. Now with all due regards, it leads to fatalities. So this pharmacy chain, healthcare pharmacy chain in US said enough is enough. So what they did, they deployed a robotic arm. And this is actually a use case. This is a pharmacy chain, a very well known, I don't want to name. But this robotic arm is placed in one of their healthcare store in California, Union Square. And you can go over there. The moment you go over there and give the prescription, she takes the prescription, scans, goes around the aisle of the store, since in US the patient data records are linked. She's also screening all that, I would say, previous elements linking with the prescription, comes to the front end of the store, gives you the medicine. You can check out by paying through a Google Pay or whatever in flat 90 seconds. The accuracy rate so far is 98.9%, which is quite good, as you also said. Now, the first question, what Sanjeev also talked about, this breast detection, radiologist, image classification. Now, radiology and pharmacists are considered to be great profession, especially radiologist. Now, the question in this room, everyone will ask, with all these advancements, sophistication happenings, what's the job of a radiologist? Any responses?
They'll be faster.
That's one.
Clinical correlation is still a thing because we can read the X-ray, AI can read the X-ray, but then understanding where that interpretation has to be used or how it affects the patient in the long run, I think that is still a radiologist. So clinical correlation still needs a doctor.
Let's make it simple.
I beg to differ because with the upcoming AI, the pathologist and the radiologist's role will gradually come down over decades. because the accuracy, the errors, the
So
accuracy is more
what's
in
the
AI.
job of a radiologist? Let me
It will
ask.
come down, sir.
It will come down,
Yes.
but what is the job of a radiologist in plain simple term?
No, basically, see, when there is the scope of a subjective error is more in a radiologist, because what the mind doesn't know, the eyes don't see. So whenever a radiologist or a doctor or any humans for that matter, if they are doing a scan or if they are interpreting something, because now with the increased technology of the scans, even minute things are seen under time constraint, like how much time a radiologist will spend on doing a scan.
Let me make it simple, just by chiming in. I'm sorry to, because of the paucity of time, and we want to take questions. The job of a radiologist is to counsel the well-being of the patient. Simple. How many times you've gone to a radiologist to kind of do a scanning of a X-ray, MRI, CT scan, he or she has asked you, how exactly are you feeling? What is that you should do to mitigate all these things? No. This is exactly what any sophisticated technology at scale does. When the acceleration supersedes by n times, it leads to the whole aspect of lifting the core nature of the jobs to the upfront, and the trivial and the chore or the daily chores will be done by the machines. This is exactly what AI is trying to do. We often get intimidated, oh, job loss. No. The job of a radiologist or a pharmacist or a chemist is not to give medicine across the counter. A chemist can also ask you, you came just last week, what really happened? Never. He or she is interested in just giving medicines. This is what AI will do. In the paucity of time, thank you so much for your responses, but I want,
Actually like
yes,
to add something what
yeah.
she
I
was
want the
mentioning.
final comments also from both of you.
Yeah, so we work very closely with radiologists because we are working with MRI images, and we are working with a certain kind of MRI called as resting state functional MRI, in which the person goes inside and it is like a video of your brain instead of a snapshot of the brain. So it is 3D video over a period of 5 minutes. Yes, radiologist, a lot of decisions can be taken by the machine now to segment the images, etc. But radiologists will not go out of business. They will not go out of the ecosystem, because a lot of decisions are still required for them to take. They are more intelligent. It is exactly like the same happened before with when computers came. Mathematicians did not go out of the job. They did more intellectual tasks. That is what is happening. Radiologists today are not getting much time to do the surgery planning with the neurosurgeons, etc. Precisely for the reason that the number of radiologists required in any of the countries are much, much lesser than what is needed. Therefore, they are now going to get more tasks which is more intellectually required. Functional MRI, nobody can read, even radiologists cannot read, and that's why machine learning is helping it, because it is more non-intuitive to take out the dimensions from the images and to analyze it. That's why machine learning is required over there. But on the top of it, once we give the information, still the decisions and the differences that they have to make is still through the neuroradiologists that we are working with.
Awesome. Awesome. Sanjeev, your final comments, please, before we open up for Q&A.
No, I think there is a lot to come. I think another thing which is coming up, I'll just leave with a final thought, that is mental health, right? I mean, mental health is one area which she covered, while she's into very specialized areas of brain surgeries, but mental health is something that is needed across the board in a lot of corporates, even and something that get to do in the privacy of your own home. If you can do that, that is the best thing. So that's another upcoming area. There's always a little bit of hesitation to go to a person to talk about it. But if some of that can be done with the help of AI, that whether something is wrong or not, I feel that these are the other areas where AI is going to have a big positive impact on our lives.
Wonderful. But most of the mental problems are also coming from home only, no? So you said in the privacy of the homes. Maybe that's a lunchroom. Any questions, please? Can you please cite your name and ask Rimjim or Sanjeev?
Okay.
Before that, can we have a round of applause for both
Hello,
Sanjeev and
Mike.
Rimjim, please?
Right. So sorry to cut you off all here. So we're running out of time, so we can take only one question for now.
Can I?
Yeah, one
Thank
question.
Dr. Uma Devi, and it was a fantastic, brilliant discussion about cancer detection and brain mapping. But what I would wish to say is like as students, we were told that when the ECG is given to us, don't treat the ECG, treat the patient. So finally, it is the clinical touch has to be added to the AI because even radiologists can make a mistake. Like for example, or renal mass, they can say renal cancer, and the patient gets very much worried. Maybe that is AI will make a difference. We don't know when there is a lot of machine learning. And finally, the histopathology turns out to be tuberculosis. So the patient comes with some weight loss and other things are not known to AI unless we feed that information to AI. So the clinical touch we cannot give away with. We have to have it along with AI, I feel.
Absolutely. I think, so as we all agree that, the role of doctors is not going away, it is just getting, lives are getting little easier for them. I mean, they can always see, between the two, they can always come up with a better thing, right? There's something that doctor may miss, the machine will tell it, and there's something that machine will miss, doctor will tell it. So as a result, patient gains out of it, right? So we don't get false positive or false negative.
AI will not replace any of the jobs. The doctor who's using the AI will definitely take the job. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
AI will be replaced.
Yes.
Mr. Samir, I just wanted to contribute to what you told about the medical errors in US. So my son, who is an MBBS doctor, is doing his bioinformatics and machine learning from Carnegie Mellon right now. And his one of the projects is to create an algorithm or a coding to avoid medical errors in all over the world. So as you rightly told, the third leading cause of death in US is medical errors. And these medical errors is not only because of the handwriting, it is because of the drug interactions. So in people particularly in a chronic medical illness where the doctors are prescribing more than 5, 10, 15 medications, there are a lot of minor drug interactions which can cause which can cause a complication of the death. So my son and his guide, they are working on the data of around 9 lakh Portugal patients. The cohort containing around 150 variables. In people who are taking more than 15 tablets, how to create an algorithm using AI and machine learning, how to, like suppose you prescribe one tablet, so immediately the AI will tell, don't prescribe these, and you can choose these kind of things. So that is how I just thought I'll let you know about it.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks, Sanjeev. Thanks, Ranjan, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot to all the panelists. Thank you so much.